feeling like Stevie Cohen, and I feel like I have some ownership to this, BT, only because I kind of got told a little something about a little something and speculated that the Mets were going to get sold. Didn't know who it was, but we found out ultimately it was Steve Cohen. And, after a while, Mike Francesa comes into our studio and says, Tiki, you were right about the sale to Stevie Cohen. I didn't think it would ever happen. It happened. And so I'm like, all right, cool.
Thank you for your blessing, Mr. Pope.
Thank you, Mr.
Father Pope.
But I'm not a Mets fan. I have some friends that are big Mets fans, and so I not commiserate, but I have commiserated with them over the past few seasons.
Okay.
And this year, after the Stevie Cohen news, everybody's like, Teak, it's happening. Like, they're changing. Stevie Cohen's coming in, and he's doing whatever it takes to make this team a winner, sparing no expense to make this team a winner. You got to buy talent. We're going to go spend some money and buy some talent. We get Francisco Lindor. We're going to double down on Jacob deGrom and go get Max Scherzer. All of these moves that he made this offseason, it just made you feel this is a new Mets. This is a different Mets. This is not the Wilpon Mets. This is a new direction, a new lifeline for the New York Mets. Yet what happens? First week of spring training, Jacob deGrom, another injury. What happens? You get 3 weeks, a month into the season, Francisco Lindor is making $34 million a year. Even after he turned the corner on his hate for the New York fans, he's in a slump and can't hit, and especially with runners in scoring position. And all of a sudden, the prized acquisition, the insurance, the $43 million man takes himself out of a game last night with 4 strikeouts in the 6th inning, and he talks about an oblique injury. And we don't know how long it's going to be. The guy who replaced deGrom, Tyler McGill, he's on the 10, 15-day IL. This Mets team, BT, feels cursed. You can't buy a way out of the curse. No matter what happens.
Hey, you got to be kidding me.
You can't buy your way.
You have to be kidding me with this.
Out of the curseness of the Mets. I can't believe it.
You know what you are? I'm going to tell you what you are.
What
You're
am
a
I?
vacillator.
What am I?
Why
am I a vacillator?
I'm going to tell you why. Fred, is this really how you're going to start the show today with this nonsense?
BT, how can you not? Everything that Steve Cohen has done has just gotten undercut for one reason or another. Some of them may turn. Yeah, Francisco Lindor might start hitting. We hope so, because he's making $34 million a year. Tyler McGill might come back, and he'll be a great back-end starter for you when he gets healthy. Jacob deGrom, post-All-Star break, injection of acedom into their rotation.
So why the sense of fatality out of the shoot here?
Because
they won the game.
I'm not even talking about winning the game. Winning right now it matters, of course, obviously, but it doesn't matter. What we're talking about is the bigger picture.
This guy's out of
for
his
the
mind.
Mets. And Scherzer's 37 years old. He had the dead arm last year. You're the one that keeps bringing that up. deGrom has a history of injuries that just won't go away. Tyler McGill, as much as I want to believe in him, I don't know anything about him. Francisco Lindor, we're talking about losing bat speed yesterday. We're not talking about, he's just not seeing the ball right. We're talking about losing bat speed for a guy who should be in his prime that's going to make $340 million.
I hate when you do this to me. You put me in a position that I don't necessarily want to be in.
What is that?
And that is to point out the positives for the Mets.
Yeah, you're closeted.
And I don't think that you're wildly off base. If I'm put it this way, if you're a devout Mets fan right now, you went to bed saying, here we go again. But everything, at least your main messaging out of the shoot here, the curse, you used that word.
I did.
You used those words. Mets are cursed.
We can't have anything nice.
Don't say we. Don't disrespect the Met fan, because you have not been in the trenches with the Met fan. So please do not say we.
They can't have anything
there
else.
You go. But what you are illuminating is not quantifiable. You cannot quantify a curse. You can't quantify Lindor struggles, Escobar, who's getting a bit of complete zero, Marte, who's been a little erratic. You could do that, but the curse, this is where the curse is how you start the show. What is it, May 19th?
It feels like a curse.
There's curse.
Nothing good can
If anything, the Mets
sustain.
are blessed that their division sucks. They're up 6 on the Phillies. Okay. Bryce Harper's not throwing a baseball for 5 weeks. Their defense stinks. You're up 7 on the Marlins. Marlins are going nowhere. I know the Braves are lying in the weeds. The Mets are, listen, I don't even think the Mets are anything special, but don't lose sight of the of the lead here. The Mets are 25-14. They've got a plus 43 run differential, and they're starting to run away with this division. And they destroyed them last night. So I get it. You watch the Rangers, you flip over from the game-tying goal to the Mets. It's like bang, then it's Scherzer, boom. I get it. Tough night of emotions. Mets won. And the Mets won, and they tacked on. And by the way, if this was Rosa, or if this was like Jeff Torborg, if this was Dallas Green, if this was, Buddy Harrelson, if this was basically every other Met manager beside 2 or 3 of them, I'd be gravely concerned for the Mets season. Buck Showalter, now he's not going to bat, not going to pitch, but what he will do is steady the ship. The Mets are fine for now.
How is he steadying?
They're fine.
Tell me how he's steadying this ship, because now they have one really quality pitcher in Chris Bassett. I mean, Taijuan Walker might give you a great outing, or he might give you a terrible one. Mm-hmm. Carrasco, he's been mostly good, especially after the offseason surgery, and I have a little bit more faith in him. But then where do you go? You're going to rely on Trevor Williams, and
he did pretty
Peters,
well.
and I
Trevor
know he
Williams did his job the other night.
But that was he's your long man.
Okay,
and
but how many teams have 5 great starters besides the Yankees and maybe the Dodgers?
Well, none.
Exactly.
But my point is, the guys that were supposed to be your great starters are no longer available.
But they're not out for the season, and you're still up 7 games. Would you please tap the brakes with this?
I'm just saying, whenever the Mets, I've just watched this for years, BT. Whenever something should be lauded and you should be celebrating, DeGrom has a sub-1 ERA. He can't win a game because they can't score runs, right? It's no matter what's happening.
You're in the World Series. Timo Perez doesn't run on a Tonsil bomb that hits the top of the wall and gets thrown out at the dish.
That's right.
I get it. I lived through it as well from the other side watching. I get it.
I feel like there's just something holding this Mets team back.
No, there's something holding this Mets team together. That I actually see it the exact opposite. There's something holding this team together, and it's called spirit, and it's called gumption, and it's called leadership.
Okay, so yes, and that's Buck Showalter, and I have much respect for him, and I understand that he's had a great history, and he'll calm this emotion down. But if you're a Mets fan right now, and I'm talking to you, if you're a Mets fan right now, what was the first thing you thought when you saw Scherzer going to the dugout, pull me out of here, and you find out that it's an oblique injury or a lat injury?
Could have been his elbow.
And he talked about how I didn't feel anything.
Could have been his shoulder.
I didn't feel anything pop, and so I should come back in a couple of weeks. I'm like, what?
Don't get me wrong. It's an ominous sign when a bulldog just puts that over his throat and says, I'm done. I mean, that is definitely worrisome.
And especially at 37 years old.
I understand
if he was 27 years old, I'd be like, he's fine. I'm not worried about it.
I understand. But you know what drives me nuts? And I've said this about the Jets, and I've said this about other teams in this city that have been historically tortured. Obviously, the Mets are at the top of the list, right? But this is not about Mo Vaughn or Carlos Baerga or Vince Coleman and Brett Saberhagen throwing fireworks and shooting bleach at reporters, or Bobby Bonilla threatening reporters, or any other multitude of meltdowns. This is about a team right now, as we get toward June, that is very comfortably ahead in their division. They've got flaws. I've pointed them out more than anybody, and I find it very ironic that I've got to be the stabilizing voice on the show today. And, I guess I relish the role because my partner's out of his mind today.
I'm not out of your mind. I'm not out of my mind.
You do local for 4 months, you get transformed into some, you expect the worst. The calamities are coming.
I know a lot of Mets fans thought the exact same thing. We just can't have good stuff, man. We just can't.
But it doesn't mean it's true.
I understand.
Doesn't mean it's going to
that.
happen.
This is an immediate gut reaction to what I saw when Max Scherzer says, I'm done.
Here's the difference, in my opinion. And again, this is not a team that's anywhere near a World Series. They're not, especially without DeGrom and no, I'm not saying that. But here's why it feels different. Number one, it looks different. Energy, execution. Here's why I really believe it's different. Because all the other Met games that I've watched that fell apart, whether it's Channel 9 or on SNY over the years, right? You know how that game ends? They lose. Mm-hmm. Instead of being up big, what was it, 6-2? And then the 2-run bomb makes it 6-4. Then the Mets get a bunch of tack on?
Yeah.
They lose 7-6. They lose 8-6. They lead the bases juiced at a little harmless pop-up to the infield, or there's an error, or the bullpen floodgates open. That's how previous Met teams, they would adhere to that script. They did not do that last night. They said collectively, I'm sure, geez, now Scherzer, this sucks. Okay, let's go out and throw a crooked number on the board and smack these punks again, which is what they did. So, I mean, I'm not saying it's optimal circumstances, but come on, dude. You're not going to do this during the Jets and the Giants season every time somebody loses the game, are you?
Wait till the Jets get to where they got to be.
What, you mean 5-1? 877-337-6666. Tiki and Tierney show here on the Fan inside the Town Fair Tire studio. Our friends at Town Fair remind you that you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. Short show today. We are out. At 11:55, Yanks going for the Brew in Baltimore. I mean, the Orioles are just wretched. Mm-hmm. We'll talk a little Yankees later. But right now, we're doing Mets, and you heard how we feel. A little bit of a different approach from me and my partner. Richie's in Queens. What's cooking, Rich?
Hey, it is easy to say that, guys. Teak, I can understand your point.
Yeah.
But, we see this team all the time.
Yep.
And when you watch a team, I watched the Giants when they won in 10, 12, and 14. And we had major injuries back then to Lincecum and to Kane, and I said, what's going on? And they somehow got over the hump.
Yep.
And then you forget about it because they absolutely won 3 championships. Obviously, the Mets, haven't won since '86. I'm not shocked that Scherzer has an injury. I mean, I saw him last year against in the playoffs when he had a dead arm. And I thought that there'd be a time he goes down. Now, if it's a long-term injury, and obviously what happened to DeGrom, I guess you can come in with like a curse factor and start thinking that, but I just think it happens to a lot of teams, and it's adversity, and you've got to get over it. So they have enough. They got that. They might have to make a move to get that bopper, and if Scherzer does go down for a length of time, a kid like Peterson maybe has to step it up, or they go out and get somebody.
Yeah.
But Teak, as a fan, I do understand it because she keeps saying like we're at a pinnacle now, we're going in the right direction, and something like this happens, but. I don't believe in curses. I just
boy, Rich. Tell T to get back in his hole.
All right,
Richie.
Thank you, Richie, boy. I got you. 877-337-6666. I will be fair. The one thing that this will certainly amplify in terms of, I think, public discourse, you and I have done this now for a couple of weeks here, but without Scherzer, and who knows how long he's going to be out, and DeGrom, et cetera, McGill. Although I don't think McGill's long-term. It's biceps. He should be okay.
And that's just inflammation.
Yes.
They call it tendonitis. It's basically just inflammation.
Yep. What I think this will...
Hopefully.
Yes, because I like him, and so do you.
I do, too.
I think this is going to amplify for everybody the real need for a bat. Because without Scherzer putting up a lot of zeros, without McGill 3 out of every 5 starts doing the same, the Mets could find themselves in some games where it's 7-6, 8-6, and they're not equipped to hammer too many home runs.
They got to be able to do what they did last night, BT, which is tack on 11 runs, right? If it comes down to it and we're struggling, the bullpen is grinding out each and every night, then we got to score some runs, boys, right? We can't put this all on our staff.
Yes.
Which we know has some holes in it, but been holding up pretty well to begin the season. But they got to get some more run production, consistent run production. It's there when they need it, but they got to get consistently able to score 8 or 9 or 10 if they need to win.
Rockville Center, Brian checks in on the Fan Tiki and Tierney show. What's up, Brian?
What's up, Brian?
What's going on, guys? Tiki, I got to tell you, I just had almost a similar conversation yesterday with a complete stranger at my stepdaughter's school event where we just feel like the wheels are going to start to fall off.
I know, right?
And
you don't want it to happen, right? Brian,
no.
You don't want it to happen. You're just like, it's inevitable. It feels inevitable. Yeah, it's like, come on, man.
It's built in your gut as a Met fan. It just really is. I mean, my wife was with me, and all of a sudden I see Scherzer come out. I'm like, yep, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
And we were watching a game together, and she goes, I don't understand how you can call something like that. I'm like, you know what? We felt so great last year. Cohen bought the team. The Mets were in first place. He gave everybody bonuses. Next thing you know, they fell apart.
That's right.
And we just feel like that same thing is gonna happen.
Well, if it doesn't, it's going to be because Stevie Cohen and Buck Showalter and whoever the leaders are in that locker room truly get around one another and say, we're not individuals right now. Like, we got to lift everybody up. And I don't know the character of this team yet. I think that is what it is, right? Can you hear the Jankowski story about Escobar getting his jersey and all that stuff? It feels like it's that team. But until we see it, till it shows itself.
I think we've already seen it.
Well, have they
I do.
have they really had adversity?
Yes, DeGrom.
Okay, but Scherzer was brought in as insurance for DeGrom. Now your insurance policy needs an insurance policy, right? And you're going to have to go into the farm system. There's a couple of kids down there that they're talking about. One is already on the 40-man roster. Buto, I think is his name. So they're going to have to. They're gonna have to scramble here.
They
a
need
little
some
bit.
Band-Aids for a while.
They're gonna have
No
to
question.
scramble for a little bit, and if it works, then you give them all the credit in the world. And be honest with you, if they get to where they think they're going to go with all of this adversity, I mean, they'll be stronger for it for sure.
Yes, that's a good point,
But they
too.
still got to do it. They still got to do it.
I don't know if this will make total sense, but just to bring the Yankees in for a moment, even though this is a Mets thing, like last year's Yankees team, and really the year before that and before that, I do not think, well, I know, was not built and equipped to deal with this kind of adversity because they were all home runs.
Yes.
I feel like this Mets roster, not that it's ideal, it's definitely not, but if there's ever a team mix and match, a little speed, make things happen. But I feel like this team at least has the requisite pieces to try to do that for a couple of weeks. They've already done it
without a doubt.
far this season.
Without a doubt. The drag bunt by Guillorme, it was just
I love drag bunts.
It was like perfectly executed.
How about Nimmo? Nimmo's really having himself. What's that, 3 triples now? 4?
Might be. I have to go look at the statistics. Yeah, but you're right. Right? So
he's having a good year. I like Nimmo.
They're productive in ways that don't require you to smash a home run in order to feel good about yourself. That's the beauty of this Mets team.
Okay. So Negative Tiki woke up today, and he saw the little ominous skies, little threatening skies, a little dark.
You know what it was?
Negative Tiki in the house. Now batting, number 21.
Again,
Negative Tiki.
Let's caveat this. I'm not a Mets fan. I'm root for the Mets, but I'm not a Mets fan. I'm a Yankees fan. Maybe I was woke up this way because my dog ate a half a case.
Bag of edibles?
No. Of Girl Scout cookies.
Which ones?
The peanut butter ones. What are they called?
Oh,
the
those are pretty
Do-si-dos?
good. Yeah, some of those stink.
Right,
some of those are good.
The tag-along. She ate half a box of
Okay.
cookies. And you know what that does to a dog?
I'm sure there's poop everywhere.
Exactly. And guess who was up every 2 hours letting the dog out of the cage to go poop, whining and screaming. And I'm glad I actually had to leave early to come to work. Because apparently
Now somebody else has to do it, is what
she
you're saying.
crapped all over her cage and on the floor.
Hi, Tracy. Get some of the housewives over. You guys could have a reunion show and clean up the house.
That's why I woke up in a you-know-what mood.
All right. 877-337-6666. Tiki and Tierney here on the Fan. Yanks going for the 4th spot in Baltimore later. Yankee tickets later. And also the Yankees, something from their staff. I want to get this later when we wrap up the Mets stuff later. There's something the Yankees are in the early stages of doing that they've done twice from a pitching point of view in roughly 40 years. I'll tell you what it is. I was doing some digging last night. It's interesting. Tiki and Tierney on the Fan until 11:55. Then it's the Bombers and the O's.